As the road unfolds in front of you, you just gotta trust it. And on this day, that would be a mistake. But what the one next to it did was even more amazing, and it probably saved my life. And a kind of time slip takes place. So it was January 2002, and I went into Main Street Bagels in Santa Monica, which is long gone now, and I ordered an egg, cheese, and tomato bagel. And when I ordered it, there was a young girl working at the counter there that glanced up at me, but only once. And then she wouldn't look at me again, I mean, at all. And she looked like she thought I was gonna rob her or something. She had that stunned look like you see a really good actress portray when they're being held up at gunpoint and they're convinced that their life is gonna end right then and there. And I really didn't understand it, but I was at the end of an epic 6-hour bike ride on the heels of a 600-mile week, and I just wanted a frickin' bagel, so I let it go. I went outside, and I sat down at the little chair and table that they kept on the sidewalk there, like I had done every day for the last month basically, because it was January of the last season of mine as a professional rider, and January meant LSD, not the hallucinogen, long, steady distance. Anyway, that was my ritual after every 6-hour ride in the Santa Monica Mountains, where I would exhaust all my resources, finish on fumes, as we like to say. The Santa Monicas are a 3,000-foot high mountain range, and they sit right on the coast. Okay, back to the story. After doing professional mileage in those mountains for like 15 years, I literally knew them like the back of my hand. And remember that, because it's going to be really important for this story. As I said, this was January of 2002, and I know this because of a few things. The main one being that I kept very strict training manuals back then, like this one. This one's from 1990, but you get the idea. And I still have all of those. But the other big reason I know it was January was because I'll never forget the image of myself that I saw staring back at me in the mirror of the little bathroom in the bagel shop on Main Street after I ate my bagel. So I know very well what jersey I was wearing on that ride. It was this one. And the same one that I'm wearing in the poster behind me from 2001 when I shot the film, The Hard Road. Now, I know I said it was 2002, and it was. 2002 was my last full season as a paid professional racer. And it almost didn't happen at all because of this day that I'm going to tell you about. But that's getting ahead of myself again, so let's back up and we'll get to the point of this story and the NDE that I promised you. That's an acronym for near-death experience, by the way, and it's also a link to my new Order of the Five film. Now, when you're going south through this range, which was heading home for me, the quickest way out of the mountains is to go down a road called Tuna Canyon. It's the steepest, most harrowing, and by far the most dangerous one, in my opinion, in the entire range. Now, this particular canyon has 15 to 20% wrapping, hooking switchbacks in the road that are cut right into the side of the mountain. On one side, you have the steep hills going straight up, and on the other side, the outside of the turns, you have steep cliffs that drop away, and no guardrails, no nothing. Okay, but like I alluded to before, I've been down this hill in my sleep so many times, and I was so tired and hungry that I was going way too fast. Anyway, so I'm going down Tuna between, 40 and 50 miles per hour, trying not to touch the brakes so I can get home as fast as possible. And I come into this one descending, looping right turn that switches back on itself and wraps in, hooking under in an almost U-turn. But I know it's coming, I know it's there, and I know I can do it at this speed. The problem is you can't see around the corner. So as the road unfolds in front of you, you just gotta trust it. And on this day, that would be a mistake. And it would lead to one of my NDEs, number 7 at that time. Yep, lucky number 7. Okay, here comes the payoff. As I was flying through this last little hook on that turn, what I saw in the blink of an eye standing right in front of me were 5 full-grown deer. And time not only slowed down, as it always does in these kinds of situations, it literally stopped. Both for me and I think for all 5 of those deer, because at the speed I was going, there is no way they heard me coming. Now, the deer in the Santa Monica Mountains are really, really healthy. They have no natural enemies except one very famous mountain lion named P22. Shout out to P22, God rest his soul. And maybe a random car every few years or so, but the mountains are pretty deserted. So these deer are thick. I mean, 200 to 300 pounds easy. And at that speed, riding a bike, you hit one of these things and you're dead. No questions asked, do not pass go, do not collect $200, thanks for playing. Okay, so that wasn't an option. I wasn't gonna hit one of these monsters standing in the way right in front of me. But keep in mind, I'm going like over 40 miles per hour or something, and there are 5 of them totally blocking this 1-lane road 10 feet right in front of me. At that point, you have very few options, and hitting the brakes is just not one of them. Every pro cyclist on the planet knows this. You hit your brakes at that speed in a turn like that and you crash. And we don't like to crash because crashing sucks. So every instinct in a good pro's body avoids that. And you don't know what the deer are thinking because they know instinctually that if this mysterious 175-pound missile that appeared out of nowhere hits me, I am f***ed. So let me tell you what happened. Now keep in mind, time as we know it has now stopped. And all of this is happening in the blink of an eye as I'm barreling through this turn at full speed. So it all kind of happened at once. And when I decided instead of hitting my brakes or laying the bike down, that I would just kind of straighten up the bike to avoid the first deer right there in front of me, and that I would roll the dice, I would just take it from there. Now here's the really amazing part of the story. All 5 of those deer reacted faster than any human on the planet, and they decided to just scatter. It was a survival instinct, I'm sure. Now, the clearest 2 things I remember about that moment is watching one of these deer, a big male because he had antlers, bolt straight up the cliff on the right side of me. I mean, literally, he went straight up the cliff like one of those mountain goats you see in a National Geographic special or something. But what the one next to it did was even more amazing, and it probably saved my life. This thing just hopped. I mean, it hopped straight up in the air like Jordan taking off from the free throw line. So I just ducked down a little more and rode right under the thing. The physics, the geometry, and my speed, and me being in a very low position on the bike, the curve of the road, it was all just a perfect storm. So that's miracle number 1 of the story, but here comes miracle number 2. When I straightened up the bike instead of continuing through the corner, I had a little problem because the road went right and I went straight and there was nothing there, no more road. Not even a guardrail like we just saw in the video, just nothing. A cliff, a drop off. I mean, I don't know, all I saw was open air. Now this entire next part is kind of a blur, so I'll do the best I can. A good seasoned pro always thinks he can save it in any crash. I mean, we always think, hey, I can save this because we've done it many, many times. This was not going to be one of those times because I found myself flying through the air at an angle with the steep, very sharp mountain cliff on my right that was covered in thick trees and bushes and rocks. And before I knew it, I was literally bursting through these trees, bouncing off branches, and then tumbling at full speed right through the bushes that were scattered along the descent. And I don't know, they're taking little nicks out of my arms and legs that I can feel with the little thorns on their branches. And at some point, I had gone over the handlebars and my bike had said, "F this," and just abandoned me. I'm tumbling through the air, flying through these bushes, and a kind of time slip takes place. And a psychonavigation of reality that's hard to explain, but I'll go into those in another video. Anyway, eventually I came to a stop, and I was just sitting kind of wedged in a not very comfortable bush. Now, in bad bike crashes, when they happen like that, and they happen a lot, your instinct is just to stand up, check yourself out for broken bones, get back on your bike, and try to finish the race so that you can race the next day. So that's what I did. I stood up, started giving myself a check, and there were no broken bones. Now, the good news is that in tumbling down this hill and hitting that bush, it kept me from going off an even steeper section that fell about another 500 feet or so before it ended in a little creek at the bottom of this chasm. Okay, so I got myself out of this bush, did the check, so I started hiking up, and there, right in front of me, was my guy. I took him, put him over my shoulder, and headed for the road above us. When we got there, I took a look at the bike, and it was totally fine. I mean, not even a flat tire. Amazing. Barely a scratch. So I climbed on him, rode him down the rest of Tuna. I got to the coast, turned left, and headed to the bagel shop, trying to decide if it was going to be a cinnamon raisin or a blueberry bagel that I had my cheese, tomato, and egg sandwich on. And this is where the story gets really interesting. But again, we're out of time. So if you want to hear about the NDE and you're a fan of The Twilight Zone, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in 3 days and we'll finish the story.